All right, this is the 416 podcast. This is the interview series. Wayne and Cindy Rogers. Cindy is behind the camera. And I'm with Bernard Fleming from the Cross Creek congregation in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And we got here this past Sunday, and we have had just a wonderful, wonderful week. And so I asked Bernard if he would to sit down with me and to talk about the work a little bit. But I just told him I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask. And so, but I'm going to give you an opportunity first to tell me a little bit about yourself and your family and maybe your role here in the congregation at Cross Creek.
All right. Well, I'll try and keep it short. But I initially was baptized into the church in 1985. And one of the first things that I was enamored with was a gospel message directed toward eldership. And I said, you know what? I want to be an elder one day. At the time, I was single, just got baptized. So I had a lot of work to do. And so with that, I did marry Linda, and we have 4 children. They're young adults now. All of them are members of the church. And so our affiliation with the church is that we're servants for God, and we're here to do God's will and to do what it is that he has for us to do based on his word. And so in a nutshell, that's why we're here. That's what we're trying to do. And that's what we will hope that we're successful with.
All right, and so we're located here in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yes.
And what is in Fayetteville, North Carolina? What is it known for?
Fayetteville is known for Fort Liberty, but you probably know it as Fort Bragg.
That's right.
And so for a lot of people, if you talk about Fayetteville, or if you talk about Fort Bragg, or if you talk about Cape Fear region, you think those are 3 separate things, but they are really the same place.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about Fayetteville, North Carolina, a rich history going back to the Revolutionary War and, of course, the Civil War, but it is right now the home of Fort Liberty, where the 82nd Airborne and our Air Forces will go out and defend our country. So it is a very patriotic place. It's a place of hardworking people, and it's a place of people who are serious about the things that they do. And so the church has been here for a while, and the church will continue to be here. And so our hope is that we can be a conduit of making sure that God's will is done.
All right, and that's great. And I kept seeing signs as we've been driving around an all-American city, and it truly is. It's kind of a, we were talking about this, it's kind of a melting pot of a lot of different backgrounds in the city of Fayetteville, and probably having to do a good bit with military and folks being so transient coming into this area for that reason.
Well, most definite. And so it's not just kind of a smorgasbord of the U.S., it's a smorgasbord really of the world.
Yeah.
Because these soldiers, and I'm not just talking about the men, but men and women, where they go, they're meeting people, they are starting relationships, they're starting marriages, and so they're coming back to the United States with these people. So it is truly a place where we have some tough skin, because we know we have differences of maybe thought, of color, of things of that nature, but still it does not stop us from coming together and being Americans first and foremost, but looking out for our neighbors. And of course, our cause for Christ is very important to us. And so it's very important that we are here at Fort Liberty, formerly known as Fort Bragg.
And so the Cross Creek congregation, and we found out about you. You reached out to the Memphis School of Preaching, obviously, and we were able to get in touch and start talking and communicating about the work here. Mm-hmm. And so really just kind of want you to, if you will, spotlight really what the work and maybe the goal that you can see that you and the congregation here have for reaching out into the community and how you're progressing toward that goal.
Okay, well, that's a good question, because if you were to ask every member of the congregation, I'm quite sure they would have a different answer. So I'm going to give you my answer.
There you go.
And it's an answer that has been forged by being in the church now pretty much almost 35 years, let's just say. And what I mean by that is that I've been at big churches, I've been at small churches. I've been at medium-sized churches. I've probably been at every type of church within the brotherhood. I can remember being at churches with 3 people, and we would have to have congregations come in to support the Sunday service so that we would have 10 or 12 people. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of been there and done that. So the first concern when I got back here at Cross Creek, because I was here briefly for a little bit, was, okay, we don't have a lot of people. We have a small space. So what is it that we can do? What will be our niche? And the thought that really came forward was that we wanted to evangelize. We really wanted to be those servants of God that went out and promoted the gospel, and promoted the gospel by not only advertising it, but teaching classes, starting small groups, helping anybody that we could that is about the Lord's business. And so with that, there have been some growing pains. So one of the things we found out was that when you only have, let's say, 10 people in your congregation, you are limited to what it is that you can do. So there has to be a focus. And I think where we're finally coming together at, for the few of us that are here at Cross Creek, is that we want to be a training site. Mm-hmm. We want to be a site where we can teach people the gospel, but then at the same point, train them to go out and to be teachers. So teach them the gospel so that they can be saved and be added to the Lord's church, but then in the same thought, helping them to be successful with their family, friends, and neighbors by teaching them to be trainers. And I believe that that's where we're going to go. And so the great thing that has happened is that we've had a mind that we want to reach out into the brotherhood, and we want to allow the brotherhood with the resources that it already has to help us. And then, of course, what happens when someone like Wayne comes to town is then you see how everyone is connected. So there were people that Wayne knew that maybe I didn't know that he knew, but then there were people that I knew that Wayne didn't know. So the whole thought was introducing him to them so that whatever it is that we can support each other with, let's do that. So if it's financial on our end, and it might be with a preaching or a Bible study on, let's say, Wayne's end, or something that another brother's doing, maybe they're going to help us with AV, or they're going to help us with our website. Our whole goal is God has given us everything we need. We don't need to make anything up. We don't need to recreate the wheel. And that's the thought here at Cross Creek. So even though we're small in number, we really feel mighty in what it is that we're going to do. And we are going to do it. And so that's really the direction for the church. But if you were to ask each member would probably have their own thought about what it is that they'd want to do. And that's good, because everyone should have a thought about what's important to them, not what's important to other people, because sometimes what happens is you're trying to do things because you think they're important to me, and then maybe I lose a little bit of, I get discouraged or something like that. Now you're discouraged. And so, no, the thought is let's work together. Let's come up with the best ideas that we can come up with, and let's try them. And if they don't work, then let's try something else. Right. And then let's keep working on the things and keep doing the things that we're doing well at. And the things that we aren't, well, we'll work on them, we'll train on them, or we'll do something else. So that's really the thought here at Cross Creek. We're keeping it simple. We're connected with the congregations here, and Wayne's kind of seen a little bit of that. So our hope is, as a little congregation, we can kind of encourage them to reach out a little bit more. And that's another thing that we hope that this congregation do, because we do have those connections with most of the congregations in the area.
Yeah, and I saw that throughout this week. Brother Bernard took me around and was able to introduce me to some of the brethren in the area, and it was very encouraging to me to see that and to talk with them about the needs, here at Cross Creek, but also the need in the brotherhood in this area, especially in Fayetteville, of attempting to work together, trying to come together, supporting one another in that way. And so the idea of, again, edifying the body of Christ in love, and that's certainly what we're trying to promote. And so by coming together with the congregation here, we have been edified, we have been built up, and we hope we've done the same thing for you. And so when I think about ways people might be able to help, one of the things that we like to do, or we hope to do in this particular work is by highlighting a work like Cross Creek and say, okay, look, if you come to to the area of Fayetteville for any particular reason. Now, we were kind of teasing. You don't usually just come through Fayetteville. You have to mean to come to Fayetteville.
This is intentional.
So you got to be intentional if you're coming here. But if you are coming to Fayetteville, make sure that you visit the Cross Creek congregation. There's a wonderful family of God here that will love you the moment you walk in the door, and you will know that you're a family as we have. And so we're just so very thankful for them, and we're just glad to be a part in a small way of the work here, continuing to move forward. And we pray that God will continue to bless you in this work.
Well, we really appreciate that, and we thank you both for coming. But you said something today, Brother Wayne, and you said that every congregation needs something. Some congregations, they have, a large number of people, and so they're doing a lot of different things, but even there, they need help. And so one of the things that we need to understand in the brotherhood is that we need to be there for one another. And we talked about this today in our Bible study that Wayne led, just as the early church was, and how they supported one another, and how sometimes it was the poorest congregations that were the most encouraging to maybe even the richer congregations. And so sometimes, like the thing that we had to get over was that we were small. And what could we do being small? And we realized that we have no limitations because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And so with that being said, we're going to move forward doing the best we can. We don't know where it's always going to end up at, Brother Wayne, but we're going to try and keep busy and stay positive, especially doing the Lord's work. Amen. So we're thankful for that. And thank you for coming and being here with us. It really, you don't know when you're out there in the mission field and you think maybe you're the only one, you got a few people that are dedicated, and then someone shows up and they help you, and then someone else shows up, and that's when you know that God's in control and that there's some godly people out there who are willing to do his work. And we appreciate Wayne and Cindy. So y'all look out for them and you help them, and what they need, you help them with. Now that's from Bernard. I'll make me leave Fayetteville and come get you. I'm just kidding.
Thank y'all for tuning in.